About 4 months ago, I made a video about my first impressions of Mario Kart World, in which I said that while it isn't yet, it will be the best Mario Kart game. And now that I've had some time to let the game simmer, I wanted to see if I still believe that to be the case, and give my overall thoughts on the game in a more constructed manner rather than the open thought style of the last video. Now I know this video might be a bit early, because they're going to pump this thing full of DLC and milk it for a decade like they did with Mario Kart 8, for which they haven't started the process yet, but everyone knows it's coming. And don't worry, I will make update videos as DLC comes out for this game, but I more so wanted to have a general video with my thoughts on the Mario Kart World experience to have a baseline for when those DLCs inevitably do come out. Back when I made the first video, the game had only been out for about a week or so, and I hadn't even beaten every cup yet, but now I've gotten to the point of 3-starring all the cups and knockout tours, which I feel has shifted my perspective on the game as a whole so far. I thought it would be nice to start off with by far the two least controversial takes I'll have during this video, being that about the presentation of this game. First, this game is absolutely gorgeous. The tracks and environments all look stunning, and the character models all have a fresh coat of paint for the first time in probably about a decade, which helps everything to feel fresh. One weird quirk I did notice is that Pianta is moist. He looks like a shiny gelatin mold, but he is still my king and I will always swear fealty to him. As I said earlier, the tracks are beautiful, like the starlit sky of Starview Peak and the cave-bound rivers of Dandelion Depths are absolutely gorgeous to me. And that's before mentioning by far the most beautiful rainbow road we have ever seen, and one of the most creative course aesthetics we've seen in years with the brilliance of Boost Cinema. This game also runs buttery smooth. Even when a ton is going on, I've very rarely, if ever, experienced any slowdown during a race. The second part of the presentation is what I believe to be the absolute best part of the Mario Kart World experience so far, the music. The soundtrack is comprised of over 350 songs of the original, remix, and remaster varieties that all sound amazing. The main theme to start is a fantastic original song that is so different from Mario Kart main themes in the past, in a way that evokes the cross-country theme that this game is going for. And Starview Peak's fluttering tone flows perfectly with the mystical feeling that this stage has, and while it's not my style, the twang of the Dandelion Depths theme fits the cave-bound rapid surfing incredibly. On the remix front, I didn't know that I needed a house version of Koopa Troopa Beach, an EDM Baby Park, or a Metal Choco Mountain, but now that I have them, I certainly don't want to be without. Even the open world map isn't excluded from the music bounty, as the songs will change to a different version of the same song as the time of day changes. Mario Kart World's OST is a masterpiece and deserves to be called no less. It blends together so many unique styles of music to create new and familiar songs that hit every single time. In a general sense, the gameplay is still the same old Mario Kart loop you know and love. You drive around 3 laps on a wacky course, kind of, drifting around tight turns and using hectic items to pass by your foes. But there are 2 new additions that change the course of every race, the expansion of race size and the on-the-fly trick system. Races in Mario Kart World were expanded from the typical 12 racers all the way up to 24, which makes things incredibly hectic due to the increased amount of items being thrown your way. What I often find happening is like 3 to 4 racers break off from the front and the other 20 being bunched up together, which makes it very easy to be in 5th and get hit by 1 or 2 items and all of a sudden be in 17th, which in my opinion is kind of a good thing. I think Mario Kart is at its most fun when pure chaos is raining from the skies. Now can that also be the most frustrating times as well? Yeah, but I think that's fine because the game gives you a lot of opportunities to catch up with the high amount of movement based items in this game. The trick system in this game has been revamped, still featuring the standard trick jumps off of ramps to generate a little speed boost while landing, but we have a new way to perform tricks at will. Like in previous games, if you press the drift button without turning, you will do a little hop and begin to build up a boost charge like a drift. With this boost, you can do a few different things. You can just let go to get a speed boost like a drift, or you can press up, left, or right to jump in the corresponding direction, which can chain into one of the main mechanics of the game being rail grinding or wall riding. Rail grinding is fairly simple. It is mostly used to get slightly off the beaten path and get some coins and do a trick off of it, nothing too crazy. Wall riding is when the game gets pretty insane. Doing a sideways jump into a wall will generally let you stick to it and ride on it for a while before it ends, you trick off of it, or when you eventually lose speed and fall. Generally in a more casual player's hands such as myself, this will rarely be used as I'm using up all of my brain power as it is just to focus on the more hectic races. The interesting part of this mechanic comes from the fact that you can chain jump by repeatedly bouncing from wall to wall, and it also doesn't even really have to be a wall. If you act quick enough, you can jump off of pretty much anything, even stuff like archways and light posts. I love the trick system in this game as it allows for players to do some pretty creative maneuvers to get ahead, and in the open world it also allows for some inventive trick jumping challenges as well. It feels like the natural evolution of the zero gravity mechanic from Mario Kart 8, whereas that was mostly cosmetic in terms of gameplay. This achieves the same angular distortion but with actual gameplay implications this time around. If I had more time and honestly more dedication to play this game, I think it can be super fun and exhilarating to maximize your inputs to shed just a few seconds off your time. Other minor gameplay changes include changing the total number of coins that can be held from 10 to 20 to compensate for the amount of hits you'll be taking. Overall, I think this game feels great to play, and the controls are quick and responsive, and the physics generally work how you would expect them to in my experience. Up next is another one of Mario Kart World's strongest aspects, its massive character roster. The core character roster is trimmed down, and there's not really anyone new. You've got your Mario, Bowser, and Baby Crews that you'd expect, but now unfortunately the DK universe got shafted again, with it only being DK and Pauline. But at least it's the debut of the post-rare DK design, and I absolutely love him and his dumb expressive mug. But for that issue, and another I'll mention later, I imagine they were holding back with DK Bonanza being just on the horizon in order to release a DK pack as part of the first wave of DLC, and I imagine that we'll see Diddy and maybe some of the other NPCs from that game soon enough. But aside from our series regulars, we have a whole host of generic enemy racers to use as well. I'm talking series all-stars like Goomba, Moo Moo Meadows, Cow, Pianta, Peepa, Cataquack, Coin Coffer, and of course, Conkdor. I love the addition of these little doofuses. You can play as a dolphin riding a dolphin bike and as a ghost riding a lobster. It's just absolute cinema. So altogether, there are 24 core characters and 26 NPC drivers to use, but we're not done there. New to Mario Kart World are costumes, acquired by grabbing the new food items on specific stages with specific characters, which will cause the character to transform into an alternate costume, and these things are incredible. You've got the Vampire, Pirate King Boo, Touring Daisy, Burger Toad, a walking OSHA violation, and tons more. Each character has on average 4 to 5 costumes, but with the likes of Mario and Peach having about 9. The weird exception to this being DK and Pauline, who again get shafted, only having 1 costume, but again I suspect this will be remedied in the inevitable Bonanza DLC. Gameplay wise, these don't change anything about the character or their properties, and are just solely cosmetic, which is absolutely the way to do this. Now unfortunately the NPC characters don't have any costumes, which I hope they remedy in the future. I'm not asking for anything crazy, just like adding a hat onto them or something, I don't know. Now while it is a great character selection, there are still flaws associated, namely the character select screen itself and how you unlock new racers. The select screen is comprised of several screens of 12 character select choices, which is all well and good, except for the fact that Nintendo made the baffling choice to have the costumes take up their own slots on the select screen, so it ends up looking super cluttered with 10 different Marios when they could have just done something like Smash Bros where you just select the character and then scroll through the costumes, but no, it's Nintendo and they made one of the most confusing UI choices in a while. My guess would be that they were just trying to pad out the select screen like, whoa, look at all these choices, but I don't know, it just makes no sense to me. And for the other bonehead decision with the characters is arguably the worst thing about Mario Kart World, and that's how you unlock new characters. For the core characters, it's simple, just beat the GPs and you'll unlock them, but the NPCs aren't so simple. You start out with about half of them unlocked, but you need to unlock the rest. And how do we do this, you may ask? Winning races, a challenge mode, anything that makes sense? Well, dear viewer, this is Nintendo we're talking about, and so they have to throw random bullshit into their otherwise masterpiece games. And for Mario Kart World, it's this goddamn stupid orb. This is the new item, the Kamek Orb, which has only one purpose. It is thrown down the middle of the course traveling for a short distance on the same path a gold shell would take. It transforms every racer it crosses into one of the NPC characters, which if the player is hit by it will unlock that NPC character permanently. So why is this so frustrating? First and foremost, this item is rare. I'm talking rarer than a blue shell in my experience. You might go 10 races in between seeing one, and even if you do, you still have to be in front of the throwing racer, and in the middle of the track as it passes by, or else the effect will not occur. Plus, even if you manage to roll an orb yourself, the throwing player is not transformed, so it's pointless for you to use one. And on top of that, even if you are hit by one, there's no way to guarantee that you will get the character that you want when you are hit. Some stages do have increased odds, like Peach Beach and Boo Cinema increasing the odds for Cataquack and People respectively, but there's still no guarantee. As I sit here writing the script for this video, I'm still like 5 characters short, even after playing for like 30 hours. And for the gameplay recording, I'll grind them out and show you how many hours it took just to get that many. Or at least that was my plan, because even after 60 hours, I still don't have this stupid idiot fishbone, because you can only unlock him in this one stupid specific lake in the middle of the path of Dry Bones Burnout to Toad Factory, and honestly, I didn't care enough to grind him out before I had to get this video out. I absolutely loathe this way of unlocking characters. They showed it was possible to do it another way with Charge and Chuck and Nabbit having random missions in the open world map, which could allow you to unlock them that way. I just have no clue what they were thinking when they decided to do it this way. And if they absolutely wanted to stick to the Kamek Orb system, that's fine, but you have to either turn up the spawn rate from item boxes or make it so that you get a unique NPC every time until you've gotten them all. Otherwise, it's just extremely frustrating. The card system in Mario Kart World has, in my opinion, thankfully been scaled back. For both Mario Kart 7 and 8, there was an extensive customization process where you pick the body, wheels, and glider to get a different mix of stats depending on your choices. Here we go back to the classic formula that's been around since Double Dash, where you just pick a singular cart with no further customization, which to me is the ideal system. Just pick your favorite looking cart and go. The customization system always felt pointless to me, and adds a layer of complication that a game like Mario Kart doesn't need for little benefit, because the average player is not going to notice the difference between the bitty buggy with slick or cyber slick tires. They're just gonna pick whatever looks best. And for World, there are a lot of good looking choices. You've got the classics like B-Dasher and the Pipe Frame, and some of my personal favorites like Lil Dumper, the Blooper Mobile, the Lobster Roller, and W-Twin Lowrider Chopper that makes any character look cool as fuck. Raw number-wise, World has a total of 40 karts at the moment, which even pre-DLC almost eclipses 8's 46 unique kart bodies, which I guess doesn't factor in the wheel combos as well, but to me the kart body is what counts. And thankfully the unlock process for the karts is way better than the characters. All that you need to do is collect coins, which can either be done in standard races or can be farmed very easily in the open world. The time to unlock them all will probably vary with how much you do the open world, but for me I had them all unlocked around the 10-hour mark or so. Now let's take our cool characters and karts out for a joyride to explore Mario Kart World's marquee feature, the open world map, and I gotta say I'm a big fan of this. At the press of a button we're able to freely explore the entire world map, including all of the tracks except for Rainbow Road, and all the roads in between that make up the intermission tracks. And there's a ton to explore, as this map is huge. Driving straight from Bowser's Castle at one end to the Great Question Block ruins at the other takes about 9 minutes, which is just insane. It's pretty fun to just drive around and explore every nook and cranny of the world as it is, but the developers also gave us a few different type of collectibles to hunt down as well. First up we have the main attraction, and in my opinion the best part of the game, the P-switches, which when driven over spawn in a time challenge to complete. This can range from collecting a few coins to riding on a wall or dodging traffic. These are for the most part incredibly fun and pretty creative, and do a great job of using the open world environment to generate a mini obstacle course. And it very much so reminds me of the mission mode that I loved in Mario Kart DS sans the boss fights. These also have by far one of the best quality of life features Nintendo has ever implemented, which they usually don't bother to do. It's a reset button, so you don't have to drive all the way back to the Switch after failing. And if you do love these challenges, there's plenty to love, considering there's 394 switches in the game, and I'm still nowhere close to completing all these, and while I do plan to grind them out eventually, I just haven't had the time yet unfortunately, but one day. Next up is the question mark spaces. These are found on the actual racetracks themselves. Generally there are 5 of these per course, but some of the larger ones have 10. These spots incentivize exploration of the levels themselves, usually requiring a wall ride or a shortcut access to find. I actually did find all of these because there's only 150, which isn't too bad compared to the P-switches, and my favorite part of the open world is exploring the courses, so this was good fun for me. And luckily there's a way to fast travel to a respective course if you're looking to get there quickly. Finally, we have the Peach medallions. These are just scattered around the open world, usually either hidden or located in a hard to reach spot. To me, these are the least exciting collectibles, as the challenge is usually just finding them, and that is a much less satisfying feeling than the other two options. Numbers wise, there's 200 of these things, which again I'll grind out eventually, but definitely with the help of a guide. Now for the bad aspects of the open world, because much like everything else in life, it is not perfect. First off, I find that despite the amount of collectibles in this game totaling over 700, the world can still feel empty at times. I feel like sometimes I'll drive for like 5 or 10 minutes and not see a single collectible, but then other times I'll see 10 within that time. It just feels like there's a lack of balance in the distribution around the map. But that also might be a symptom of the map being so large, which is cool, but it also takes forever to get anywhere if you don't fast travel, and that is worsened by the fact that the minimap is absolutely useless. Rather than a standard minimap that is your 2D layout with the routes highlighted, we are instead given a very low detail 3D render of our character icon and a miniature 3D version of your current location, which does absolutely jack all. The worst part though is that it doesn't have a compass around it helping guide you in the direction you want to go. So when I want to drive across the map from one place to the next, I find myself often getting disoriented by the various turns, obstacles, and general layout of the routes, which makes me have to pause to check the map to make sure I'm still going in the right direction. And speaking of the map, I find that to be fairly inadequate as well. It is very detailed and easy to navigate, but it's just lacking extra features to make it better. There are a ton of collectibles in this game, which it tracks in the bottom left corner of the map, displaying the number of them that you have collected. However, there's no way to check how many there are in the game, so you might have gotten them all and just not even known, or you may not know how close you are to completion. Plus, there's also no way to see what you have gotten in terms of specific collectibles, only how many. There's no indication on the map as to where other ones may be, so a lot of the time you just have to wander around until you find something, even if you don't know if there's anything to find. But that's enough about the open world for now. Let's get into the races with a proper, classic, iconic Grand Prix mode, and oh god, what happened? Traditionally, Grand Prix consist of 3 lap races around 4 unique tracks, which in essence is the same in World, however with a bit of a twist. So you will start off with a 3 lap race on the first course of the cup. However, every other race will require you to drive to the next course and will consist of 2 intermission route laps, followed by 1 single lap on the actual course itself. And this is probably the biggest gripe I've seen with Mario Kart World, and I probably agree. This concept as a whole whole isn't the worst thing in the world, but the problem is that you can't turn it off. So if you wanted the traditional Grand Prix experience, you have to create your own in the versus mode by just manually selecting the tracks, and in that case you will get to play all 3 laps of the course. The concept of having Grand Prix be like this is to emphasize the interconnectivity of the various courses and show off the big map, but this is greatly overshadowed by the brand new mode that we will talk about later. Plus, a lot of the routes are super boring. They're just very wide, which makes it easy to avoid other players, and there's about 75% of them that are just straight lines. There's just nothing super exciting about most of them. You should absolutely be able to turn this off if you want. Like, just have a classic mode for the old way and a new tour or world mode or something of that for the new style. I think now that I've 3-starred these, I have no real reason to go back to them. I greatly prefer the standard GP experience, and for now that's best found in the versus mode by making your own fun. And it's a shame that GPs are the way that they are, because most of the tracks are absolutely incredible this time around, both visually stunning and fun to play. So in order to give the spotlight to these courses that Nintendo seems to not want to give, let's take a quick look at every course really quick. And as for the routes featured in the various cups, I'll save those for another video because I don't really care about them, to be honest. Up first is Mario Bros. Circuit, a fairly simple but still well-designed starter track. It's your typical Mario or Luigi circuit that every game has had to this point. A simple shape with no natural obstacles at all. Looks-wise, it goes for a cool desert mesa theme instead of the traditional grassy racetrack these types of courses usually go with. Following is the Gimmick God's Sacrifice, Crown City version 1. I call it this because you can tell that they designed this whole course to be part of the new Grand Prix design, since even in versus mode you start off on this weird offshoot, which is actually just the bridge segment that leads to this level in a standard GP. And then you do get a unique course design driving through this main street, back alleys, and rooftops of the city, but instead of 3 laps it's split into 3 segments, ending back at the finish line near the start. But it feels weird because this course is only about 2.5 minutes long on 150cc, so it ends up being not long enough for a segmented course, but also too long to do 3 laps of it. So I feel like it would have been better to cut out this squiggly bit at the end in favor of a proper 3-lap course. Design-wise, it's just a gray city street with a lot of cars, but the music is a funky tune that fits the city theme well. I absolutely love our next stop at Whistletop Summit. This brand new course is a vertical winding path along a train station and track that would be good fun in general with the design and train obstacle, but it also has some of the best designs centered around the new trick mechanics as well. The main gimmick of the course is a winding path of both train tracks and a standard road, with the train tracks being rideable like any other rail, meaning you can constantly jump back and forth between the tracks and rails to keep up a good amount of speed, and towards the later half of the course you even can trick off the upper windings to land on the lower ones easily. Coupled with the energetic Cowboy Western-esque song, the design of Whistletop Summit ends up being one of my favorites. Rounding out the Mushroom Cup, we have DK Spaceport. I love this one as well. It's a futuristic 3D recreation of Donkey Kong arcade level with a giant robotic DK being the one to throw barrels at you. Design-wise, it's fairly uninteresting. It's just straight corridors emulating the girders of the arcade title with various obstacles like fire and barrels, but I mostly love the stage just for the concept rather than the course itself, and the jazzy rendition of the Donkey Kong level theme in the background doesn't hurt either. We start the Flower Cup with our first classic remix course, Desert Hills from DS. I never really loved this course in either DS or Wii, but I think it's pretty fine here. In particular, I love the Mario Land references with the Batadons and Toko Tokos, really nice nostalgic touch. Other than that, nothing really special though. You'll notice that in this video I don't really have any strong feelings for Mario Kart 7 tracks, as it's the one Mario Kart game I have barely played, and Shy Guy Bazaar is no different from the rest. I like the portion where you're actually driving through the marketplace, but outside of that, it feels very sterile and straightforward without much excitement in the track design or music. Wario Stadium also makes its long-awaited return, being the variant from Mario Kart 64, having been MIA ever since then. World does a strange thing with N64 courses by remixing them so hard that they are almost unrecognizable, but still keeping their core feel. In the case of Wario Stadium, they merely condense the course from its crazy length in 64, but still maintaining the more unique track layout portions like the big ramp jump that give the course its identity. The final stop in the Flower Cup is the DS course Airship Fortress, and wow, what a job they did adapting this one. The course features a large amount of environmental hazards and visual effects that play well into the feeling of storming Bowser's Airborne Fortress, and the remix music does wonders for the sense of action that this set piece conveys. Returning from its various entries before to lead the start of the Star Cup is the DK Pass, a fairly interesting course with a treacherous ascent with a cool half-pipe at the bottom. Star V Peak is absolutely gorgeous, with its wintry theme against the dark night sky all tied together with the waterway segment toward the end. Sky High Sunday is a fairly straightforward course, mostly just a figure 8 design with a few gliding segments, so while I'm not a big sweets guy, I do really like the candy and ice cream design here. To wrap the Star Cup up, we have probably my least favorite course, with Wario Shipyard. Again, my indifference to the Mario Kart 7 track shows its head because I'm really not a fan of this place. The water trick controls in Mario Kart World are a bit jank, so I'm not going to be a fan of any stage that is mostly water. Also, not the biggest fan of the ruined castle shipyard look. I really don't understand why Wario needed another stage beside the stadium. To start off the Shell Cup, we have one of the worst courses in the game, with Koopa Troopa Beach. This is a remake of an SNES course, and unfortunately that's kinda all it is. They kept the extremely simple and flat design, with only a few cheeps near the end to get in your way. And it's a shame, because I love what they did with the design of the level itself. Being a large concert hosted by a DJ Koopa playing a clubhouse remix of the original Koopa Troopa Beach theme that I am absolutely in love with. It's probably my favorite music track in the game. Faraway Oasis is a pretty cool track. It's a fairly simple savannah-themed level that has a lot of environmental hazards around with the animals on the track, and this part of the stage weirdly reminds me of Yoshi Falls with the rapids leading to a pit in the center. Following, we have Crown City version 2, which is a Grand Prix exclusive remix track of Crown City, and given that it's a one-lap only deal of an already not fantastic stage, I'm not a big fan of this one. Our final course is Peach Stadium version 1, which again like Crown City version 2 is only Grand Prix accessible. This version is super boring, as it's just a drive up the front stairs of the castle around this box-shaped road to the starting line of the actual course. The Banana Cup starts with another remixed GameCube classic, Peach Beach. The first lap is the same as in the past, racing past the Cataquacks back to the courtyard, but the second and third laps are now changed to be a dash through the city street and the ocean respectively. Salty Speedway is a really unique course. Styled after the canals of Amsterdam, you spend most of the race bouncing between those same canals on the road around you. It leaves a lot of room for creativity in the path you take. A strange classic I wasn't expecting to be brought back is Dino Jungle, and wow, this place got a real facelift. Unfortunately, the derpy dinosaurs from the GameCube have been replaced with these more realistic looking guys, and the interior of the central building is shifted from a temple to a shiny science lab, which in my opinion is a welcome change. The Banana Cup is completed with the Great Question Block Ruins. This is an awesome dilapidated ruin in the sky theme, with some of the best track design in the game, with a lot of floating platforms and opportunity for trick combo strings. Cheep Falls is an interesting start to the Leaf Cup. Following a traditional Japanese theme, we spend most of the time wading through rapids, which honestly can be a bit annoying to maintain control during. Gameplay-wise to me, Dandelion Depths is fairly uninteresting, but I really like the beautiful underground cave river system. Up next is the course with the absolute best aesthetics in the entire game, bar none, Boost Cinema. This course is set within a haunted old-timey movie theater with a jaunty swing tune in the back, but the coolest part is racing over old film strips with a surprised-looking Peach adorning them. The actual course design is a fairly boring figure-8 style course, but the aesthetics of this course just shoot it to the top for me. Drybone's Burnout is our final Leaf Cup stop, and it's not really a fantastic one. It's a mostly boring winding paths that don't connect well to the generic gray roads that really bore me here. I do like the Day of the Dead aesthetic featured on the Drybone skulls though. Moo Moo Meadows is back in its peak form, looking more like a farm with a muddy track and the drive-through barn experience, and of course driving through the hordes of cows as the cow NPC is always a great time. Choco Mountain has the same feel as Wario Stadium, an N64 track that has been completely remixed, but still has the same bones. I swear the first time I played it, I wasn't paying attention to the name of the track, and didn't realize what it was supposed to be until about halfway through while going around the iconic horseshoe-shaped portion and hearing the rock theme blare in. I was never a fan of the Wii version's Toad Factory. It always felt like a kind of straightforward and boring course, but for some reason in Mario Kart World I love this course. I think it's relatively the same as before, but I love tricking off these girders at the end. As is customary with Mario Kart by now, the penultimate cup is rounded off by the game's versions of Bowser Castle, and this might be my favorite iteration of the course ever. Instead of the more traditional stone castle aesthetic this course usually favors, we are instead given a more futuristic and sleek metal interior. The set pieces here are also some of the best in the game. You get shot up a fire tube into a dark lightning cloud and rounded off by driving right underneath a giant flaming Bowser statue that is reminiscent of his design in Bowser's Fury. The Special Cup begins with one of the most unique courses in the game, Acorn Heights. This course involves racing around a giant tree and bouncing off giant leaves and roots. It's nothing too crazy, but I'm a fan of the aesthetic and has good track design. Mario Circuit has the same issue as Koopa Troopa Beach, being a flat and boring SNES remix track that painfully reminds me that Super Mario Kart exists. Our penultimate course in the final cup is Peach Stadium version 2, and I really love this course. It's got a challenging amount of sharp but fair turns, with plenty of opportunity for mushroom and trick-based shortcuts. And without any gimmicks, it feels like one of the most skill-based tracks in the game. Mario Kart World's final track is of course Rainbow Road, and this time we were gifted with a massive 5-lap undertaking. The first segment is a drive up from Peach Stadium to the Heavenly Portal, followed on the next segment with a standard stained glass looking track, then a waterway similar to Starview Peak, after a journey through a mechanized space station, and finally another track on the stained glass road, but this time with more turns and speed boosters. Our next game mode on the docket is the brand new Knockout Tour. This mode's focus is on cross-country elimination races rather than the traditional course format. There are 7 different options: the Golden, Ice, Moon, Spiny, Cherry, Acorn, and Cloud rallies that are all comprised of different routes that travel nearly the entire height or width of the map, that all somehow feel different but the same simultaneously. They're all fairly unique in both their starting locations and the terrain you cross over, but I don't know, I couldn't tell you which is which. I think it's mostly because the course segments aren't named, and that confuses my brain. The gameplay style for this mode is also very unique and brand new for the series. The races are comprised of 6 segments and start with 24 racers as per usual, but at the end of each segment the bottom 4 racers are eliminated until 4 remain on the final segment racing for first place. Back to my earlier point about Grand Prix mode, Knockout Tour does the cross-country gimmick so much better, because you go off-roading much more frequently than the GP intermission routes that accentuates the exploration just that much more than the GP routes do. I really like Knockout Tour. It's a very unique experience that Mario Kart hasn't tried before, and it's a creative way to capitalize on the Battle Royale trend that's somehow still ongoing while keeping the same energy that Mario Kart is known for. Versus mode is back and better than ever, as with how Grand Prix works right now, it's the only way to get the traditional 4 standard race experience in Mario Kart World at the moment. Plus it still has all the party mode options like teams, increased item drop rate, and CPU difficulty sliders. You do also have the option to race on routes that connect 2 nearby stages, even ones not featured in the GP mode. For instance, you can race from Toad's Factory to Drybone's Burnout if you so desire, which will give you an experience similar to GP with 2 route laps and a final lap on the destination stage. There are 202 of these routes in the game, and combined with the 30 unique stages, there are a total of 232 course options in this game. There's not really much else to say about Versus mode, it's just a standard Mario Kart experience here. It definitely will be my choice when playing with friends going forward. Strangely enough though, it almost felt like I was playing through some of the courses for the first time, because while I did see them in Grand Prix, I didn't really get the full experience, and they felt weirdly fresh to me even though I had technically seen them all before. I'll be forthright, I hadn't touched the battle mode before making this video. It's never really been what I look for in Mario Kart. I just want to race, not fight. I did used to play the battle mode in the 64 and Double Dash days, but ever since then it's just not really been my thing. I think in Mario Kart 8's 11-year lifespan, I played it maybe like 5 times with friends at a party. For World, we have maybe the most anemic battle mode since Super Mario Kart. There's just nothing here to be excited about. They only brought back Balloon and Coin Battle, axing the Shine Runner mode featured in 8. But the worst part is that in previous Mario Karts, there would be a custom battle arena retrofitted specifically for these modes. But here it's just roped off segments of pre-existing courses and routes, and it just feels way more lifeless than this mode had previously felt. And this is more so a me and my natural anxiety thing, but the fact you can't see a leaderboard, which I believe you could in the past, makes no sense to me. You just have to hope you're winning, I guess. I think I really won't be touching this mode in the future. The online service for Mario Kart World is fantastic. It runs very smooth and has very infrequent long lobby wait times. Unfortunately, online Mario Kart has never really been for me, so I can't really enjoy this too much, but for those who like that sort of thing, it's pretty great. Whenever I do play online, I usually prefer Knockout Tour for the exhilarating Battle Royale style feel this game has in online lobbies, and I'm aware of the course voting issue that the game has with the semi-forcing intermission tracks on the players, but I don't really play Versus mode online, so this really isn't an issue for me, but I do understand the frustrations that come with this. Now for by far the most controversial thing about this game, the retail price. Coming in at either $80 for the base game individually, or effectively $50 if you got it with the console bundle. I'll jump straight to the point. Is the game worth $80? No, I don't think so. I would be more okay with $70, as I understand that's where the market is shifting to, but there's not really a reason for this to be $80. I'm not too bitter about it because I got the console bundle, so I realistically got a discount on it, but I can understand as while the game is fantastic, I don't think the price hike necessarily makes sense, especially when DK Bonanza came out a month later and is way closer to being an $80 game, although that isn't and shouldn't be either. I really hated the Twitter discourse and misinformation spreading around this topic as well. I saw so many tweets saying this game was $90 or all Nintendo games would be $80 going forward, with absolutely no basis around it. My point being, it's already ridiculous to be $80. You don't have to exaggerate to make that point. Mario Kart World is fantastic, but it really feels like they spent about 90% of their time on the open world, therefore wanted to incorporate it in every aspect of the game, which leads to the peripheral features kind of being ignored for the sake of the gimmick. For instance, the lack of passion found in the battle mode and the baffling decisions on how to unlock characters feel so underthought compared to the track design and available challenges in the open world. And worst of all, the classic Grand Prix feel was destroyed in favor of showing the routes in a non-optional way, when there was already a perfectly fine secondary game mode with Knockout Tour accomplishing the same goal in a much better way, and if they wanted to, they could have just made more rallies. I feel like it was a neat concept to have the Prix work this way, but in practice it gets old after a few plays, and I think there really needs to be a toggle option to just play a normal Grand Prix, which I am praying they add in a future update. At least with the neglect in some areas, we were given a super beautiful and expansive open world, and the tracks themselves are also very fun and creatively designed around the wall running gimmick. I just wish we got to see them more. When Mario Kart World first released a few months ago, I made the statement that it will be the best Mario Kart, but isn't yet, and I do still believe that because this game has so much potential that I think can be unlocked by just a few tweaks. What I want from this game is obviously more tracks and racers, which is pretty much guaranteed to happen, a toggle option for regular Grand Prix, and an easier way to unlock NPC racers even if that won't help me now. And improvements to the battle mode would be nice, but not too worried about that one. I think that with these changes coupled with the wonderful base game that we have, World will be the best Mario Kart game, but it just needs a little more time in the oven. That's just my opinion anyway, but I'm curious what other people think of this game. Let me know in the comments how you think World stacks up against the rest of the Mario Kart franchise. And while you're down there, if you liked the video, please drop a like and subscribe if you could. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.